the Whispering Woods. In the remote village of Elden Hollow, nestled in a valley surrounded by rolling hills and a dense forest, whispers carried by the wind were a familiar sound. These whispers came from the Whispering Woods, a vast, ancient forest that bordered the village. The villagers spoke of strange happenings, voices calling their names, eerie lights flickering between the trees, and those who ventured too far never returning. Despite the warnings, the forest had always intrigued Alara, a young healer with a gift for sensing the unseen. Orphaned at a young age, she had been raised by the village's elder, a stern but kind woman named Mavrin. Mavrin had always cautioned Alara to stay away from the woods, but something about its shadowy depths called to her. One fateful evening, as Alara gathered herbs near the edge of the forest, a soft, melodic voice whispered her name. She froze, her heart pounding. "Alara!" the voice repeated, more insistent this time. She glanced around, expecting to see someone, but there was no one in sight. The voice seemed to emanate from the forest itself. Ignoring her better judgment, Alara stepped closer to the trees. The air grew cooler, and a faint golden light flickered among the shadows. Before she knew it, her feet carried her deeper into the woods. The whispers grew louder, intertwining with the rustle of leaves and the distant sound of running water. Suddenly, a majestic stag stepped into her path. Its antlers shimmered with an ethereal glow, and its eyes were deep pools of wisdom. Alara stared in awe as the stag bowed its head slightly, as if beckoning her to follow. "Who are you?" she whispered. The stag's mouth didn't move, but she heard its voice clear as day in her mind. "I am Elian, guardian of this forest. You are the one we have been waiting for, Alara." "Waiting for? Why?" she asked, her voice trembling. "The forest is dying, cursed by a darkness that seeks to consume all life here. Only you, with your gift, can break the curse." Alara hesitated, doubt creeping into her mind. "I'm just a healer. How could I possibly help?" Elian's gaze softened. "Trust in yourself, child. You have more power than you realize." With that, the stag turned and began to walk deeper into the woods. Taking a deep breath, Alara followed. The journey through the forest was like stepping into another world. The trees towered above, their gnarled branches forming intricate patterns against the twilight sky. Strange, luminous flowers glowed softly in the underbrush, and creatures Alara had only read about in old tales scurried past her. Elian led her to a clearing where a great ancient oak tree stood. Its bark was blackened, and its branches drooped as if in pain. At its base, a swirling pool of darkness pulsed like a living thing. "This is the heart of the curse," Elian said. "It was wrought by a sorcerer who sought to control the forest. When the forest resisted, he unleashed his anger, binding his essence here to spread decay." Alara knelt by the tree, her healer's instincts kicking in. She placed her hands on the bark and closed her eyes. A rush of emotions, anger, sorrow, desperation, flooded her senses. The sorcerer's spirit was still tethered to the forest, his pain and rage poisoning it. "What can I do?" she asked Elian. "You must confront the sorcerer's spirit and offer him peace," Elian replied. "But beware, for he will try to deceive you." Alara nodded, her resolve hardening. She placed her hand over her heart, focusing her energy, and began to chant an incantation she had learned from Mavrin. The air around her shimmered, and the pool of darkness began to churn violently. From the shadows emerged the sorcerer's spirit, a towering figure with hollow eyes and a cloak that seemed to devour the light. "Who dares disturb my domain?" he bellowed. "I am Alara, a healer," she said, her voice steady. "I've come to end your suffering and free this forest." The sorcerer laughed bitterly. "You think you can undo what has been wrought by my pain? Foolish child!" Alara stood her ground. "Your pain is great, but holding on to it only spreads more suffering. Let me help you find peace." The sorcerer hesitated, his form flickering. For a moment, Alara saw a glimpse of the man he had once been. A kind face, eyes filled with hope. "How?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "Let go of your anger, accept what has happened, and move on," Alara said gently. She reached out her hand, and to her surprise, the sorcerer took it. A brilliant light enveloped them, and Alara felt a surge of warmth and relief. The sorcerer's form dissolved into the light, and the darkness at the base of the tree vanished. The oak's bark turned a healthy brown, and its branches lifted skyward, vibrant and full of life once more. Elden stepped forward, his antlers glowing brighter than ever. "You have done it, Alara. The forest is saved." As the first rays of dawn broke through the canopy, the forest seemed to awaken. Birds sang, flowers bloomed, and the air was filled with a sense of renewal. Alara felt a deep sense of accomplishment and belonging. "What happens now?" she asked Elden. "Now you return to your village," the stag replied. "But know that the forest will always be a part of you, as you are a part of it." With a final nod, Elden vanished into the trees, leaving Alara to find her way home. When she returned to Elden Hollow, the villagers were astonished by the change in the forest. Whispers turned to songs of gratitude, and Alara was hailed as a hero. But for Alara, the greatest reward was knowing she had answered the call of the Whispering Woods and helped restore its magic for generations to come.